We're able to tell that he has a 4 range hair type, so it could be possibly a 4B, could even be a 4A, but I'm thinking either a 4B or a 4C. And I know a lot of you guys always think, man, he's doing a whole bunch of videos on people with the 4 hair type. And to be honest, I will do videos of people with the 1 hair type or any lower hair type if you guys comment down below and let me know what you guys would like to see on anybody who has, you know, straight hair dreadlocks, or anybody who even has like a medium hair dreadlocks. And by medium, I mean anything from like the 2 range or to the 3 range hair type. But that just goes to show how typical it is for someone with this hair type, or I would say someone with dreadlocks will have this hair type, being the 4 range, either 4A or 4B or 4C. Reason being is because it's a very tight curl pattern, and with that being said, it makes it easier for the hair to actually lock up. That's why it's tougher for people with straight hair for their hair to lock up. Although anybody with any hair type can get dreadlocks, it's just easier for certain people. And by easier, I mean it's actually easier for the hair. Because let's be honest, if you use the crochet hook, you're able to get dreadlocks instantly with any hair type. And it's really simple for anybody to actually do as long as you know how to actually use the tools. But speaking of the crochet hook, we're looking at his dreadlocks, and we can tell that he hasn't used any tools whatsoever. And if he did, then it's kind of disregarded now, just because of how long his hair is, how mature his hair is, and how much of a freeform set of dreadlocks he has. And what I mean by that is he's gone completely freeform, doesn't look like he's done really anything besides maybe separation. And all separation does is allows the hair to separate so that they don't combine into really thick dreadlocks, which with him, he does have thick dreadlocks, he has skinny dreadlocks, he has dreadlocks of all size, and that really comes from allowing the hair to freely form. For all those out there who don't know what freeform is, it's allowing your hair to, like I said, freely form, not doing any maintenance. So that means no sponge rub, no crochet hooking, no twisting with gel, just allowing your hair to lock up by just washing the hair, allowing it to create its own sections, and then eventually just matures in those sections. And those sections usually start to combine, creating congos and wicks, so on and so forth. Now there are ways to manipulate your hair to make it look freeform, and there's methods to do that, like doing sponge rub, or even just starting out doing twisting with gel, or even doing 2-strand twists and starting out that way, and then allowing it to freely form after doing the initial locking process, which a lot of people actually do. We've seen it with Sway Lee. We've seen it with Jaden Smith. We've honestly seen it with so many people to where they'll start the maintenance process and then allow their hair to go afterward. Or they allow their hair to go in the beginning stages and then they start doing maintenance afterward. Now the opposing side to that is Lil Wayne, how we've seen him start out with, obviously he did start out a little bit freeform, but then we've seen him doing twisting with gel and 2-strand twists and so on and so forth, and then he moved on to just allowing his hair to go and freely form. That's why we see him with wicks and congos. We recently seen him start to add bleach to his hair, which actually looks really cool, especially with his hair type. And now looking at this photo from the back of his head, I would definitely lean more towards a 4C hair type because of how thick the dreadlocks are. And one thing you'll notice about the 4C hair type is it doesn't really frizz up, and that's just because how tight the curls are. So we see here that there are some like beaded up hairs at the top, and that's just a clear indication that he does have a 4C hair type, because with that hair type, the hair likes to bead up, which also makes it easier for the hair to actually lock up. Now we do see some scarring on his hair, and what that means is that either some hair has broken off or it's just due to separation. We see that one bleached dreadlock that has kind of like a breaking point on it, and that could be from the dreadlocks growing together and then separating them in the long run. But one thing we also do notice is that there are rubber bands in his hair. So he is doing some form of maintenance to actually allow the hair to lock up in the form that it is going. And that's one thing that you guys can take note of. If you put rubber bands in 2 or more dreadlocks, they're gonna lock up, and they'll lock up really quick. Me being a 3C, I like to say 4A, but I would say a strong 3C hair type, I put rubber bands in my dreadlocks and they combined in less than a week. So that just goes to show if you do this, it's gonna lock up quickly. One thing we notice about his dreadlocks is that he parts it down the same side every time. And with that being said, the hair's gonna wanna congo up in that direction. But we still do see him using the rubber bands or the hair ties to actually pull that hair aside in order for it to go that direction. So you guys can do this as well. If you want your hair to constantly go in the same direction, just pull it in that direction every single day or as frequent as possible. Then eventually it'll just constantly want to go in that direction. Now here's a photo with his hair completely down without it being parted. And you can still see that where he puts that rubber band in, that it's just a really big Congo. It's probably about a 10 head Congo in total. And the difference between a Congo and a wick is that a wick is just a really thick dreadlock, and a Congo is 2 or more dreadlocks combined into one at the root. Now you can manipulate your hair into a Congo or a wick using the crochet hook, or